I was biking on the street, then I heard this. We were in the middle of the garbage war. Believe it or not, I think I have become a Stinky Tofu man.
Yes!
Suddenly she starts to do like this. And I think, what's going on? Then stones came crashing down the mountains. And I'm not that fast on a bike, but that day I was very fast. Yeah. They just dragged me on the floor, So then I was dancing in that park. What a night out. Welcome to the Bikeman in Taiwan.
All right, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm glad we're doing this because Niels here, you just finished your trip around Taiwan.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot you can share. Just for people who might not know you, can you kind of just introduce yourself? I mean, you do so many things. You traveled the world filming documentaries, shows, and you worked in news before, so...
Yeah, that's true. I've been doing a lot of different... I've been very lucky to have the chance to do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Together with the Copenhagen Film, we set out some years ago and we said we want to do documentaries and we want to see the world.
Yes.
And now we've been doing documentaries in 34 countries.
Wow.
Which is a lie, because now it's 35 countries, because
Including
we've
Taiwan.
been in Taiwan too, yeah.
Hey.
We have seen a lot, and I really have to say the best way to experience a country is doing a documentary about it.
So tell me, share with me, how does it feel to have gone around Taiwan on a bike and seen so many different things? Like just feeling-wise, how does it feel?
It's an immense experience, I can definitely say that. And it's because it's a very physical thing to do, There's two things in this. There is the things that you see along the way, the nature, the ocean, the mountains, and then, of course, what is probably the most important, the people. And when you're relaxed, then meeting people and talking to them and connecting with them is at next level. Because mentally you're kind of prepared and you open yourself up on the road.
Right, your senses are open.
Yeah.
So you're ready to receive any kind of new experience and stimulus. Well, let's talk about what some of the new and fresh things you saw. Were there any really memorable or very, I don't know, eye-catching?
Yesterday we went to a temple. And first of all, the temples here, they are extremely colorful. I mean, if you can think of a color, it would be there somewhere. If you can think of a shape, it will be there somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I think the people of Taiwan, how they go to a temple is different from how people in Denmark go to a church, say. And yesterday we did this, there was this temple where they had this deity, a Chinese Cupid, I think it was called, that would sort of act as a matchmaker. So if you want to improve your chances in the game of love, you went to that temple. And then we met this young woman, and so I said, why do you come here? And she said, I want to find Mr. Perfect. And I said, Mr. Perfect in a temple? And she said, yeah, you can do that here. And then I was like, don't you go to clubs or try dating apps? No, she thought temple was the safer bet. And then she did all these preparations with the incense and the gifts.
Oh, so you guys followed her through the whole process. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so I said, so who is Mr. Perfect for you then?
Good question.
Trying to smile and look nice. And she said, Mr. Perfect for me is, of course, I have to like him. But it's very important that my cat like him too.
Cat?
The cat. And I was like, wait a second, this is going to be very complicated for you. I mean, think about this. If you're a guy and then you see this girl and you think, she might be attractive and interesting.
Everything is perfect.
And everything is perfect except the cat doesn't like you.
Nope, not the right man.
But, long story just to say, it was so amazing to see that people go to the temple here has a kind of sort of business-like approach. They come with a purpose of changing this or that in their life on a very practical level.
Right.
And I don't know, somehow I could wish maybe we could have the same where I come from, because it's so spiritual and you have to connect to some greater God. And it's like, yeah, how, why then? And here it's very down to earth. I have this issue in my life. That's why I go to the temple. Let's do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a difference between, if not really going into too much about the religion, but, each temple has a different deity that that's like the main sort of main deity of the temple, right? But you have so many different kinds, so you go to different ones for different purposes. How about the natural scenery? I mean, I think a lot of people come to Taiwan and travel here. I mean, they know about the natural scenery, but, they come to Taipei, which is the capital, and you see the mountains, but you might not necessarily go to the mountains, but you went to...
We did. Of course, we simply had to go to Taroko Park. Taroko Park was the thing that they had this huge earthquake, and you think earthquakes, they hit cities.
Yeah.
Cities are built by humans, houses are made by humans. Humans don't think too clearly all the time, so they never think earthquake will come, even though they come frequently.
We think we're almighty.
Yeah, and then the houses crash, and that's no fun at all.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was actually a nature park that more or less collapsed. I mean, it's been there for billions or at least millions of years.
Yeah.
And the damages, it was like landslides and bridges and roads and everything was just in haven. And then, but I have to say, even though all the destruction and devastation, we did the most beautiful interview we have done in any country, anywhere in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
What was so amazing about it?
Yep. But
for you,
picture this. You had this gorge. Then there was a huge cliff. I guess it was around, 50, 75 meters, just like a tower going into the gorge.
Yeah.
And then, but it was just going straight down into a river, just rushing down the mountains. And then on top of this cliff was this tiny, sweet little temple.
Man.
I was sitting with this woman there, and she experienced the earthquake. And she talked all about this, and because she worked there, she totally loved the place. And then we had a lot of lovely drone shots, and you have the drone just rising up, and then you see, there's two little people sitting in a temple. They're sitting on this rock overhanging the gorge. There's a stream down there. Now we can see the whole park in one shot. I've never seen anything like it. That's when you come home in the evening and you see that kind of footage, you think, it was well worth. It was a day very well spent. And then, of course, her story was brilliant.
Yeah.
And then they start to open up again the roads for cars in some places, and we went out. And then I was on my bike, wearing a helmet, like I always do.
Yes.
Then I saw a woman in front of me. Suddenly she started to do like this. And I was thinking, what's going on? Then stones came crashing down the mountains. And
while you were on your bike?
And I was on my bike, and we got away. I'm not that fast on a bike, but that day I was very fast. Yeah, because
you can be fast.
I can be if need be. And that was the need for it.
Wow.
So it still hasn't quite settled down. So even some of the roads are open now. It's I think there's cars were going on that road, but
I think it's from the earthquake last year, right?
Yeah, or was it 22? I'm not quite sure. Yeah,
I think it was last year.
It could be. Yeah.
Speaking of earthquakes, you guys went to the 921 earthquake museum, right?
We did.
One,
we did.
The one that really hit Taiwan.
I have an admission. I'm not the greatest museum guy in the world, but that one really, really got to me because, they're exhibiting real things.
Yeah.
You had there was this place where you were running around in the stadium, those orange lines and white lines, and suddenly they just dropped 2 or 3 meters.
And
And
by the earthquake originally. Yeah.
And you had this entire school that just collapsed.
Yep.
And it opened up into living rooms and bathrooms and toilets hanging down, and it was all still there. And then this guy was there telling his story about he experienced that earthquake. And that was, I mean, more than 2,400 people died. It was,
big.
It was a disaster. And it's really, part of Taiwan's collective mind now. And he told his story about it. And what I recall very vividly is how he escaped, and then everything is chaos, and then everyone run to the park because there was no buildings around there, and then he saw his family, and they were alive. They all survived, and I still remember how he was just sitting there, and he was. Sometimes when people are telling something that is very important to them, then they see it while they tell it.
And you can see that they see it, right? Yeah.
He's watching a film while he's talking to me, telling about it.
Yeah.
And it was just such a moment of intenseness. Him sharing that with me in that place that is so important to people in Taiwan. So.
Well, I definitely see you seeing all these things that you witnessed. The gorge and the museum, and the people you met. Yeah. I mean, this is all now like sort of all part of your experience.
Yeah.
How has that sort of changed you, I guess? Because you spoke about how you get really you can get really reflective and meditative on a bike, right? I'm sure there are some things that have like really simmered in you and
I think a lot of things, but something you realize when you are here and you're away from home for such a long time is, again, and I really connected to the story with the guy who survived the earthquake and saw his family, and that is, how important family is to you. I've been thinking a lot about my family being here, and I've been thinking, when you're with your family, you quarrel a lot of times. Oh, why do you do the dishes? Why should I always do all these petty
fickle stuff?
Yeah. But I have to say, being around here, really sort of emphasized, how lovely it is to be part of a family.
Did you send photos back to them? And
I did that. I did that. And I can't. I'm really looking forward to coming home and have the time and sit there and tell them all the fantastic, wonderful, exciting stuff I've been seeing in Taiwan. And I think next time when I come back, I think my family, I think my grandson, he should come back and experience this. That would be great.
You want to bring him?
Yeah, that would be lovely. It would be such an experience we could have together. And it was very. But there are so many surprising things. I also remember I was biking in the street. Then I heard this. And I thought, what's that? That's Beethoven. That's Beethoven. That's Elise. Who is playing that? Then this garbage truck rolled into the street. And then I learned that people in Taiwan, they might forget the telephone number of their own mother, but they never, ever forget what time the garbage truck is rolling into their street.
If there's one thing you got to remember, that's it.
And they were ready for it, tell you. They
lined
were
up with the bags.
Yeah. And then they attacked this poor garbage truck, with plastic bags. There were plastic bags all over the place. You had to fend for yourself. It was like
you didn't
garbage.
You didn't get to experience it?
We were in the middle of the garbage war. It was like a...
Oh, you were?
It was like a garbage ballet, And what a civilized country you have here, that you have the garbage trucks playing Beethoven. I mean, how can you not love a country like that?
We just try to make everything more pleasant, you know? We try to make throwing your garbage out more pleasant. We try to make sitting on the toilet more pleasant by creating a restaurant out of it. But I'm sure with all these pleasant experiences, there were some challenges along the way. I mean, you're on the bike, so and it's intense filming too.
Yeah,
by no means.
Yeah.
Right. So, are there any, I guess, challenges that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I have to say we have been extremely lucky with the weather, in the sense that I think for 3 weeks we had, I don't know, 3-4 days of rain.
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all. And you know what? Then even the rain can be turned into your advantage. We were doing this story about, is it called Shenong Street, which is a very old street, and it's normally packed with tourists. And then when we came there, it was pouring down, and there was lightning in the sky.
Oh, wow.
And I walked one soul down this street, and it was pouring down, and I have this raincoat, and I was saying this place used to be like this, and now it's like that, and today I have
You were a news reporter.
Yeah, and then I had sort of this hood over my head, and it just came down more and more and more, and we only had one shot of this because everything was just wet.
Yeah.
And then I said in the end, but now today I have this place all by myself. How cool is that?
That is true.
And then my hood went down in my face like that. So we turned it into our advantage. It was really great. So it was a different experience. Of course, the temperature is something that you shouldn't make fun of it, because when it's 36, 37 degrees, it is hot outside.
Oh, it's no joke. Definitely.
But somehow, I mean, if you're standing bang in the middle of the sun, you're a plain idiot. But then
it's
again,
also just about the humidity too, not just the heat. Yeah.
But I think the funny thing is, because you're so much into doing this, you get used to it. And then when we was here, back home, there was a heat wave.
Yeah.
And a heat wave where I come from, that is 29, maybe 30 degrees. And the news back home was packed with, you have to drink water. Don't go out in the middle of the day. Be careful not to forget your children in the car. And you better shoot your pets before heat kills them. Almost like that, Hysteria was all over the place. And I was thinking,
because you guys are not used to that.
We're not used to it. I mean, here I was thinking, we're working in 37 degrees. We're not dying, So
no big deal.
It's bearable. It's bearable.
One thing that I think we have to talk about, because we're talking about Taiwan or just Asia in general, is food, right? Food is huge here, in this part of the world. You've tried a lot of food, I'm sure. You've tried the quintessential Stinky tofu.
I would have to say the food that made most impression on me, that was the Stinky tofu. I have to say that.
How so?
Well,
because I asked this because it's so I think it's almost become a cliche for people to try Stinky tofu and ask about it. But I'm really curious what you think about it.
It's the kind of food that you can smell before you can see it. I was sitting with my back to the kitchen, and then, now it's coming. Now it's coming. And then they brought this plate in, and it's tofu, and then there's a hole in the middle, and you can just see the center is, I think the correct phrase is fermented. You could call it rotten. And it smells like very, very, very old cheese. And you think, am I going to eat this? And then I'm going to eat this. That's part of the deal. No, don't go on your bike getting away from it. And I was tasting it. And then you expect, horrible things to hit you, because, I mean, these things should be in a cage, basically. And then you put it into your mouth, and you think, this is not so bad. This is actually kind of nice, and you want to try again. It has such a rich flavor. It has umami. It's like all over the place in your mouth, and it's the kind of thing that sort of becomes a little bit addictive. That now you tasted it, you want to taste it again. So
it's kind of like cheese in that way. I mean, a lot of people don't like it, but the people who do like it, they're like, "Oh, this is addictive. Like I can eat this."
It's an acquired taste, I would say. Yeah. But believe it or not, I think I have become a Stinky Tofu man.
Yes. He's transformed. Will you come back to Taiwan just for Stinky Tofu?
There's many reasons to come back, but that will be one of them. That will definitely be one of them.
I'm very glad to hear that because I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's a personal preference thing, right? Like it's based on what you like or don't like. But I think don't you think it's very philosophical in that way? You just gotta try it.
Yeah.
The smell might like push you away, but you just gotta try it. Once you try it, you'll love it.
The real experience is always somehow the things that you said to yourself, I shouldn't try that.
Yeah.
And then when you sort of cross the border and go into no man's land, and Stinky Tofu is living in no man's land.
Just sitting there quietly waiting for you.
Come to me. And I said, no, yes, come, no, yes, no. And you tried it. And it's love of a lifetime now.
Well, is there anything you personally want to share before we end this?
I think a last thing I really, really want to share is we went to a park. And the other night I was riding into this park. There was some music playing. I thought, what is this? There was these guys playing saxophone. And they were playing, I think it was called like cha-cha-cha music.
Yeah.
And then because someone is playing saxophone, then someone is dancing. So people, they just came and danced. And again,
it's organic.
Totally organic. Yeah. I mean, there was no time schedule, there was no planning, there was no nothing.
No
they just showed up, and they were dancing so nice. And then some of these women, they came and said, so you can come and dance with us. And I was like, no, I'm biking. Yeah. I'm not dancing. I'm a biker, not a dancer.
I'm tired.
And I'm tired, and I had all the excuses in the world, but they didn't quite listen to that. They just dragged me on the floor, you know. So then I was dancing in that park, which is such great fun. Those guys playing saxophone in white shoes and those ladies with heavy makeup, I would say. And we were just dancing around that place. What a night out in Taipei.
I can totally picture this. Like this is, it's a part of Taiwan that I don't think people really discover.
Exactly.
Because it's so daily life, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just their daily life. They're not doing this to put on a show. They're not playing music because they want to earn, some money. They're just there to do whatever they're doing. And you got all sorts of people, right? Like the young people, the older.
It's like the whole of Taiwanese society is right there in front of you, having a good time, moving and having a party. I mean, that's the kind of experiences you really want to get when you are doing things like this. And these are also the kind of experiences that will stay with you forever.
Right, because you don't expect it at all.
No.
Yeah, and you can't find it or scout it. Like it's just there.
It's just there. Yeah. The moment was there. Good life is never planned and it's never arranged. It just happens when it happens.
From speaking with you today and hearing your stories, I'm sure it's been quite I'm sure you're glad that you made this trip out here.
Oh, yeah.
Despite the heat, despite the rain, despite, all the challenges.
But if things is not despite something, they are nothing, Everything has to be despite something to be something. And there was a lot of despites.
Yes.
But it was such a rewarding experience, yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you for chatting with me after biking for 18 days and being all around the island. And I'm sure part of you is exhausted as well. So
thank you for offering this nice chair to sit in.
Yes, I think I will stay on this couch too. Yeah, so.
Great.
All right. bye, everyone. We're going to stay here.
Bye, everyone. Yeah, we will just...
Yes, and thank you again. Yes, all right, go to bed. Bye, bye. We're ending this.